the Gauntlet. Let's go.
If you smell what the Gauntlet is cooking.
What's up, everybody? This is your host with the most, coming at you from coast to coast. Another episode of the Gauntlet Podcast, your place for the most entertaining NFL content and discussions. We are going to have a jam-packed show tonight. We have a lot of stuff to discuss. We have Randall Cunningham for the Player of the Week, which is why I'm wearing Randall Cunningham jersey and the old school hat. And then we're also going to be previewing the AFC North. We're going to be talking about some of the latest things going around the NFL. We have some players around the league that are trying to get paid, trying to get that, secure that paper, and some people are even willing to hold out, like Jesse Bates. So we'll see what that happens. If Jesse Bates is going to get traded, it's a possibility. But with that being said, let's get the crew in the building. Detroit Dom, what's up, Detroit Dom? And what's up, Jamon? And what's up, JJ? What's up, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
Totally crossed out.
You are wearing the jersey of that rat. What is wrong with you, Dom?
He was my favorite player before Gary Sheffield.
Yikes.
Deuced. I stayed up till 5 in the morning. I got that book for Christmas in 2010. Stayed up till 5 in the morning on Christmas night going into the 26th. Read that whole thing cover to cover. Fascinating.
Wow, you can actually read? I didn't know that. JJ, what's good, bro? You're quiet.
I'm chilling right now.
You're chilling?
I am.
Got that one-ton cup?
You ready to talk about your division tonight, the AFC North?
I knew this day was coming eventually.
Yeah, time to face the music.
And then we got our guest, Mr. Will. What's up, Will?
What's up?
Oh, he's wearing an NBA Jam shirt. That's awesome.
Yeah,
NBA
it's actually Del.
Oh, that's dope.
In morning, yeah.
That is awesome. With the stats, too.
I actually have a modern version. It's LaMelo Ball, and for some reason, I think it's like Gordon Hayward for some dumb reason.
He was T-shirt
shirt.
I don't remember, but yeah, this is like one of my favorite shirts.
Anyway, guys, you guys know what time it is. Yes. It is time for the Sports Morons of the Week.
Are you guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me?
So, my Sports Moron of the Week.
Wait, not you, me first.
Why does it matter?
Because my sports moron is Pacers GM Chad Buchanan for offering and allowing to sign DeAndre Ayton to a $133 million 4-year offer sheet. And Will?
Mine is the Suns GM because he matched the offer, and I just don't see. DeAndre Ayton is a big man, and he's still developing. I think he's in his 4th or 5th year. He's the same rookie class as Luka and Trey, but come on, this guy struggled in the playoffs. He's afraid to go against bigger guys, so
can't shoot.
Shame on you. Can't shoot. Suns GM
quit on his team.
And my sports moron is being a Houston Texans fan. Once again, it's the Texans franchise. So the news came out this week that they have settled all 30 cases. And congratulations, you have, in my view, you have exposed yourself as being complicit in assisting Deshaun Watson in doing what he did. And here is to hoping that the NFL investigates and forces the McNairs to sell the team and send Jack Easterby into oblivion. I'm done.
Why is it so big and echoey? Are you broadcasting from an airplane hangar?
Dom, shut up. You're not on the screen right now, so just shut your mouth. My sports moron, I was in an Eagles group this week, and there was this post that was saying, that Donovan McNabb was the GOAT of the Eagles' history. And this person went on to tell me that not only was McNabb the GOAT, which he's not.
Wait, GOAT or GOAT quarterback?
Hold up. Let me finish. He also went on to say that Reggie White, not top 10 in Eagles history. Brian Dawkins, not top 10 in Eagles history. At which point I just said, I was left speechless, and I just said, you know what? There's no point of talking to this guy because he's not actually an Eagles fan. If you think
contact an admin and get him banned.
If you think that Reggie White is not the GOAT because you think Brian Dawkins is, or you think Reggie White is the GOAT and Brian Dawkins is not the GOAT, I don't have a problem with that. But those are our top two players. But if you're going to say McNabb, who was a loser, who choked in big games, who threw the ball at the receiver's feet, who anytime there was a receiver that was good, which everyone used to cry about how he didn't have any help, well, he was a guy that couldn't share a spotlight with a good receiver. That's why no good receivers wanted to play with him. That's also why he had issues with T.O., he had issues with Deshaun Jackson. He wants to get all the credit. And then when they lose, he wants to blame everyone else. But you're going to say this guy's the GOAT.
McNabb's not even top 5.
No, absolutely not. So
Like Westbrook's better.
That's my sports morons of the week, though.
Ron Jaworski is better than McNabb, arguably.
McNabb was a product of Andy Reid. If he didn't have Andy Reid, he might have not been trash, but he would have not been as good. Andy Reid, as his track record speaks for itself. Every quarterback that has been coached with Andy Reid has been better than they were before.
Must have been a super young dude.
Alex Smith never passed for 4,000 yards the whole time he was with Kansas City. Goes to Kansas City, 2017, 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. His best season easily.
Yep. Andy Reid is arguably the greatest offensive mind of this century, in my mind.
Michael Vick, whole time he's with Atlanta, never passed for 3,000 yards. Goes to prison, comes out of prison, comes to Philly, has the best season passing-wise, passes for around 3,300 yards that season, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and then he also used his legs, had a really good season. So every quarterback that he's coached with, even Mahomes, as great as Mahomes is, I do not think Mahomes would be.
I was going to say that's a great question.
I don't think Mahomes would be considered the best. I don't think I think he would still be a good quarterback, but I don't think he would be considered the best. I think Andy Reid has had a major part in his development. So Andy Reid doesn't get the respect, but for the last 18 years, he's been the same coach. The only difference is now he has a quarterback that's better than the other teams, where he had McNabb and he had Alex Smith and he had Michael Vick before that weren't better than most of the elite quarterbacks. But now he does.
I think Andy Reid always got the respect, but now he's got the accolades.
He doesn't get the respect. Everyone called him a loser. Everyone called him a choker. Everyone said he was
I was calling McNabb a choker, not Andy Reid. Andy Reid's not out there playing football.
He's been to 3 championship games with 2 different teams.
Yep.
So he's a phenomenal coach. The disrespect is.
He's been to 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams. Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid, and I know it's going to be unpopular amongst a lot of people because they revere Falcons Michael Vick. I've always said Eagles Michael Vick was way better because of Andy Reid. He actually learned how to play quarterback.
It's because Andy Reid is a quarterback whisperer. He can teach anyone to play quarterback.
Guru.
But anyway, does anybody have anything to add before we move to our player of the week? Nobody? Awkward silence? Okay, well, we will go to commercial.
Get the Cunningham.
We will go to commercial break. And when we get back, Randall Cunningham is our player of the week. We're going to talk about Randall and his career and some of his greatest moments and stuff. So we'll be right back.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics. And autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Check the links in the description, guys. If you guys use the links in the description, whatever you purchase, whether it's jerseys or T-shirts or whatever, we'll get small proceeds from that. So we would really appreciate it. But Randall Cunningham, player of the week, guys. So Randall, great player. And he was a player that was about 20 years ahead of his time. If Randall was playing in today's modern NFL, I think that he would for sure be a top 10 quarterback.
Lamar Jackson never would have won MVP if Randall Cunningham was playing.
His athletic ability is off the charts. My favorite, and I'm going to show this clip here in just a second, but my favorite Randall Cunningham moment was against the Buffalo Bills in 1990. So they were playing the Buffalo Bills. So he was in he was in the back of he was literally all the way in the end zone. And
don't tell us about it. Show us.
I'm going to show you, but I'm going to explain what happened. So he was basically back in the end zone. He was being rushed by and he ducked under the Defensive Player of the Year for that season, Bruce Smith. Pretty good player that made a name for himself in the NFL.
Bruce Smith.
He wasn't bad. He ducked under him, and then he launched a ball like 60 yards down the field. It was a 95-yard touchdown.
I think it was more than 60 yards in
Fred
the air.
Barnett, my bad.
Show the clip.
I'm showing it, but my computer, it's bugging right now.
Do you have the punt clip?
It happened in the same game, but
that was the same game.
The 90-yard punt and the 95-yard pass happened in the same game.
James, I've got a problem with that Fanatics ad. You're not the guy wearing the Philly Eagles.
Oh man,
you need to Photoshop yourself in there.
Yeah, but anyway, this is the clip I was talking about.
Yes.
Here.
Here's Smith. Nope.
Ducks right under him.
Launch it.
And launches that shit.
And there's Barnett deep. And deep, he muffed him.
I don't understand how anybody can actually watch this clip or any clips of Randall Cunningham and say Donovan McNabb was a better quarterback than Randall Cunningham.
I think that's an all-time greatest clip of any.
That's one of the most ridiculous things that I've seen. Like we said, Bruce Smith was one of the greatest to play the game. He just straight up just ducked under him and launched it. He had a lot of great moments, but the problem was we never had a great team around Randall. We never had. I mean, Fred Barnett was probably the best receiver that he played with. Chris Carter was there, but Chris Carter was dealing with a lot of issues. He was dealing with his addiction problems. So
it was also early 90s.
Chris was not the player that he was until he went to Minnesota. So good for him for turning his life and his career around, but he wasn't that guy. So Fred Barnett, he got over 1,000 yards, I think, twice. But other than that, nobody else, pretty much came close to being a good receiver on the team. And the offensive coaching was not good. You had Buddy Ryan, who was a great defensive coach, but it was dreadful. The offense was dreadful, and they didn't know how to use Randall. And there's a reason he went to Minnesota, and he was 35 years old at the time. He was past his prime. He was not the Randall he was when he was young, but he still was the first-team All-Pro quarterback with Minnesota. So
Fred Barnett got 1,000.
If he would have been coached with Andy Reid would have been having the same success like he is with Mahomes. I truly believe that would happen. But Dom or Jay or anybody want to take it over?
Real quick. Randall Cunningham was Mike Vick before Mike Vick was Mike Vick.
Except for he's way better.
Better. They both had a very good arm. Both very athletic. 61% win percentage in his career. Not that the Pro Bowl means much, but his lone Pro Bowl was in 1998 when he was 35 with Minnie when he was 13-1, and also a spectacular emergency punter, 91-yard punt, 80-yard punt. He had like 16 or 17 punts in his career for an average of 44.7 per punt, which if he was a full-time punter, if they wanted to do that sort of thing, because I've always argued for the idea of nowadays in the NFL, 70% of the teams, their kickoff is by the punter, but the punters, like when they're asked, why aren't you the place kicker? They said it's a way different motion. It would screw up my punting and my kicks, but I fully believe Randall could have been a full-time starting quarterback and a full-time punter, but that's all I got. Jay, what you got?
Quick correction. His only season first team All-Pro was 98. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, actually, 89, 88, 90, and 98. He also was NFL passer rating leader in 98, and he was comeback player of the year in 92. He had torn his ACL against Green Bay, and he was out for the year, and he came back in 92 and did damage.
You're right. All pro is what I meant, not Pro Bowl.
Easily, that clip that you saw was that was probably my favorite play, like, of my childhood in the NFL, because I thought that was just so amazing how he turned a safety into a touchdown for Philly. It was great, and as we were talking about before the show, and with all due respect to John Elway and the Broncos, Randall probably has his only ring, if not for Gary Anderson missing that field goal.
No due respect to John Elway.
Not only was the man fast, but keep in mind he was 6'4" and long-legged, so he ran kind of like a gazelle, and had these long strides, But absolutely, you talk about a guy, and I've always been a huge fan of dual threat quarterbacks, such as himself, Elway, Young, Moon, Randall most definitely. I mean, when I think it's crazy wearing that jersey, because when I think of the Kelly Greens, I think of Cunningham or Reggie White. That's the two names that come to mind. So, I mean, absolutely great pick for this week, Randall Cunningham. Go ahead with a Will or JJ. JJ, you want to
Oh,
JJ,
yeah.
tell me about Randall's 6 games 2 started as a Raven at the end of his career, because I know nothing about this.
Well, it wasn't the best, but
He was 2-0.
He was a backup, bro. He wasn't a starter.
at the end of the day,
No one cares about when he was with the Ravens.
The Ravens kind of had the tendency to take old, previously good veteran or,
Vinny
offensive-
Testaverde.
Deion Sanders. At the end of the day, Randall was a great quarterback. I love how Dom tried to challenge me with his little quote about this MVP would have never been Lamar Jackson's. That's not true, but Randall Cunningham would have been I would say he would be really Russell Wilson-like if he was in the NFL this year or this era, especially with Andy Reid, because he was an accurate passer. And, he had the ability to make something out of nothing, which was one of the things that at that time you didn't see too much often. You had the Steve Youngs, you had the John Elways, but most quarterbacks were kind of sticking the muds. But Randall was great.
Willie?
Yeah, Randall Cunningham was great. He's definitely one of my favorite dual threat quarterbacks of all time. I know this may sound shocking to you guys, but I liked him better than Cam Newton. Honestly, a lot. Miles ahead of Cam Newton.
Of course.
Doesn't it feel good to tell the truth?
No.
I think it's disrespectful to even compare Cam to Randall.
Yeah, like whoever would do that, I'm not saying he is Cam Newton. I'm not comparing the two because he blows
I hear
out
you.
the water. But he was also a multi-sport athlete in high school. He also, in 1998, helped the Vikings with veteran receiver Chris Carter and rookie Randy Moss.
Yep.
And
I
like
would
say
say
Jay-
he really good with
like
Vikings.
Jay-
Get Chris Carter later in life.
What? What'd you say, Dom? I'm sorry.
I said he got Chris Carter later in life.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
And like Jay said, if it wasn't for Gary Anderson, another Super Bowl ring. But that's all I've got on Randall.
That's all you got. All right. Well, another thing about Randall that I want to say just before we wrap this up, a lot of players don't figure out what they want to do once they get out of the NFL, because the NFL was the stand for not for long. A lot of players don't figure out what to do, and that's why a bunch of people go broke and stuff. But you have some players that get into business, that get into other things at the end of their career, and then as they're retiring, so they already have a plan. So Randall was really a man of faith. So when he retired from the NFL, he became an ordained minister. So he's actually been a pastor, which is really cool, and he is the pastor,
In
the team
Vegas,
pastor.
right?
He's a team pastor for the Raiders right now. Las Vegas is where he's from. He went to
I
the
didn't
University of
know
Las
that.
Vegas. So that is pretty cool. But I like to see it when players are figuring out what their path is going to be after they're done playing. And that was Randall's path, so that was really cool. So we
Nice
got to
going.
catch up on some of these comments. What do you guys think about the hate that Lamar Jackson is getting? We will get into that and all that stuff as we're going to be previewing the AFC North division, which I think that's a good way to segue into it. So last year, the Bengals won the AFC North, shocked everybody, and they also shocked everybody again by winning the AFC, losing to the Rams in the Super Bowl. Close game, but just coming up a little bit short. The Ravens had a lot of injuries last season, and they were right in it until the end. Lost the last game of the season, and the Steelers ended up getting a wild card spot. The Steelers, Big Ben obviously retired, so their quarterback situation's up in the air. You have Mitch Trubisky. You have Kenny Pickett, who they drafted. They lost Dwayne Haskins to an unfortunate and unexpected death. And obviously you have the Browns with the Deshaun Watson thing going on around him. It does seem like he is going to get some sort of suspension. Is it only going to be a 6-game suspension, 12-game suspension? 12-game suspension was offered by the NFL, but Deshaun Watson and his camp declined it. So there's going to be further talks about all of that. But when you're looking in the AFC North, I think that the top two teams are going to be the Ravens and the Bengals. I think that the two teams made the improvements on both sides of the ball that they needed to make. The Ravens went out and they got major upgrades with the safety position. They brought in Marcus Williams from the Saints. They also drafted Kyle Hamilton in the first round of the NFL draft. They still have Chuck Clark. So, the Bengals, Joe Burrow had more touchdown passes over 15-plus yards than any other quarterback in the league last year. So they're got some good weapons that can make some big plays down the field. But the Ravens, they are set up to combat against that pretty well. And then on the Bengals side of everything, their offensive line was putrid. So that's why it was even more impressive for Joe Burrow to continue to play at a high level, even though he was getting pounded every single week. But you go out and get La'el Collins, you get Alex Kappa, really upgrade an offensive line there. So it's going to be interesting. I would pick the Bengals to win this division, but I think that the Ravens and the Bengals both have the talent to win 11 to 12 games, and I think they'll both be in the playoffs. It'll be a close, tight division race. The Steelers, I think they'll finish third. I think that Mike Tomlin, he just has a way to keep winning, even though he doesn't have the greatest teams. He still hasn't had the losing record yet. So maybe they can get 9 wins this season. And then, of course, you have the Browns, and I think they're going to finish in last. I think that they're just going to be a dysfunctional mess. I think they're going to be a disaster. The Deshaun Watson thing, the drama, it's going to be a major problem, I think. And I'll be interested to see how Kevin Stefanski is going to be able to keep the locker room together when there's a bunch of stuff going on.
So I'll go real fast. I got the Bengals. If he can re-sign Jesse Bates, that's awesome. He is holding out currently. But yeah, Joe Burrow led the team to the Super Bowl the year after he tore his ACL. You got T. Higgins. You got Jamar Chase. You got Joe Mixon. And then you got the Ravens, who are getting J.K. Dobbins back. They got Mark Andrews. They've got Lamar Jackson. They've got a good, steady defense. Like you said, they drafted Kyle Hamilton, which was a great draft pick. Then I got the Steelers. Like you said, James, and I 100% agree. Mike Tomlin knows how to win. You got Chase Claypool, Najee Harris, whoever the quarterback is. You still got some good defenders on your team. You got Minka Fitzpatrick and some pretty good defenders. And then you got the Cleveland Browns, which I agree, yet again, James, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a mess, the whole ordeal with Deshaun Watson. I feel like it's going to cause a lot of locker room divide and friction and chaos, and Stefanski's going to have to figure out how to keep the locker room intact, like you said, and not lose his job
Burrow.
or anything.
Burrow.
But I definitely have the same order. I got Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns.
All right, let's address the question. Lamar, next. Okay, now, in terms
I'll take Joe Shiesty.
I take Joe Burrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay?
Woo.
Burrow, Lamar.
Shoot. Lamar.
Okay,
Ooh.
it's still 3-2.
Eric says Lamar.
Well, it's
Well,
amazing.
we don't care. He's not on the panel.
Well, to be very,
Boom, roasted, Eric. You just going to take that?
I mean, at the end of the day, y'all can have who you have.
Come for me.
Lamar's great, though. I've seen Lamar play in person. Lamar is a good player.
I have the person.
Joe, get your 15 minutes on the
I'm not
AFC
saying
North.
Lamar's not good, but I would just rather have Burrow.
No, I would too. Trust me.
I would take either one over Jared Goff.
I don't give a dang if y'all take Burrow. I'm still taking Lamar.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Joe, go.
You're
Now-
definitely not only taking him because you're a Ravens fan.
Yeah.
Really not taking him just because I'm a Ravens fan. I actually think Lamar's ceiling would make him the most unstoppable player in the game. He hasn't got there yet, but if he gets there, I don't think nobody can stop him. But that's just me, and that's with the Ravens or without. Now, in terms of the division, this is going to be a great tier. I appreciate this because I love the challenges that it presents. I'm going from last to first. I think Cleveland's going to finish with either 8 or 7 wins because by default, they have a good team. They have a strong run game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That offensive line is pretty good. Myles Garrett was the Defensive Player of the Year runner-up. It wasn't as if he was chump change. Then they get a healthy Denzel Ward, a Greedy Williams, and then they got a couple other pieces on there. I do like what they have. I just think the other teams either are going to be better or going to be well coached better, which is where my third team comes in, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I got them sitting at about 10-7. Mike Tomlin gets the best out of all his team. Mike Tomlin gets the best out of
10
perfect
wins for the Steelers.
It's perfect for a rookie to come into this situation because he's coming into a culture that you already know the expectation. You already know what.
How do you know Kenny's going to be the starter?
Well,
I think Trubisky might be the starter.
Just let him keep going. Keep
He
going.
very much can be, but I just think at the end of the day, either one is in a good situation because at the end of the day, we had seen Mike Tomlin make 8-8 with Duck Dodges or whatever you want to call his name, along with like
And Randolph, yeah.
So
Yeah,
at the end of the
that was Mike Tomlin's best job coaching.
I have them there. Number 2 is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals because I'm very curious to see what they're going to do being the hunted team now. You got the attention of the big brothers, which the difference is between when Cleveland got to the playoffs, they split with Baltimore. I think they split with Pittsburgh. They swept both of us that last year. So both of their Sunday night games are at Pittsburgh and at Baltimore. So we're going to see, knowing that you have the attention of the two teams that really typically have been the best teams in the division. The Ravens loaded up with Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams. They got Kyle Fuller, which I think could be an underrated signing that came from Denver. He struggled there, but he was a Pro Bowler and All-Pro at Chicago. Clearly, Baltimore is saying, we see you, Cincinnati. We're going to match you weapon for weapon. I think they're a great team, and I think they're a very strong team and things of that nature. But I worried about this Jesse Bates situation because I knew he needs
That's true.
paid. And I don't know if he's going to get paid. But if he does, it makes him certainly more formidable. I got them at 12-5. Number 1 is going to be Baltimore at 13-4 because I think with being 8-3 and first in division, even though they lost in Cincinnati, they were first in division when Lamar and them went down. And he didn't have the best part of the team, which is the run game. And you cannot stop that run game when they're starting. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a chance to break the record for the most consecutive 100-yard rushing games in a season. You can't say J.K. Dobbins is a breakout player when he was coming in last year and got hurt. Now he's coming back with Gus Edwards. Now you're going to see it all together because the deep ball was there. The deep ball was there last year, and that was the missing element to a Greg Roman scheme, is having the play action in the play. Now, Lamar looks bigger, stronger. His arm is definitely much better because he got with a different QB coach, which is one of the ones that is more elevated and be able to acclimate to the type of throws they want him to make on a consistent basis. It's going to be fun.
Draft the wideout?
We don't need to draft the wideout because
Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman.
They got Bateman the year before.
Let's go.
Yeah, sure. Rashad Bateman's got it. Mark Andrews, Devin Duvernay, my guy. My personally under favorite is James Prochet because if you watch them against he didn't get opportunity. He kind of succeeded. It's going to be a fun, but I got the Ravens at 13-4, reminding people why they are who they are. And Lamar is going to remind people that when he was playing, the Ravens still were leading the division.
Fair points.
I'll start from the bottom, like JJ did. At the bottom with 8 wins, I have the Steelers.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
Right. At the bottom, I'll start with the Steelers, 8 wins. I predict, much like in Chicago, Mitch Trubisky will get benched with a winning record for pressure for the hometown kid with the baby hands. Kenny Pickett.
I do like Pickett.
He'll get them to 8 wins. Cleveland, I have at 9 wins. That roster is so good, top to bottom. Yes, there's some uncertainty at quarterback, but they have a great O-line. They have the best 1-2 tandem at running back. And even Jacoby Brissett or whoever, like I said, the O-line and the run game and the defense is good enough to get them to 9 wins. Then in second, I've got Baltimore with 10. And Cincy wins the division with 11 wins. Everyone's going to beat up on each other. I don't see anyone having better. No one is going more than 4-2 in the division. I think damn near everyone splits. It could be a tie at the top with 10 or 11 wins, and then someone wins on a tiebreaker, but no one's running away with this division.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm gonna start at the top and then go all the way back down. I got the Bengals winning the division. Last year they won at 10-7, beating the Chiefs to accomplish it. I got them at 12 wins this year. Again, I think Joe Burrow and company are going to be watching that Super Bowl tape over and over, and they're going to use that as motivation. I've got the Ravens at 11 wins. It's going to be close. It's going to be out of them two, and I think the game separates them apart. Wait, what did he say?
Yeah. Put him back up.
Oh, man. That's so wrong. You got to stick
small hands, smell like cabbage.
It's going to be close between those two. Pittsburgh, I got third. Their defense, otherworldly. Also, and I was talking with Jacob about this just a couple of nights ago, is pretty much the bell cow back is going to be Najee Harris. I think that they're going to have to get someone to form a 2-man punch with him so that he's not your workhorse back like a Derrick Henry, even though pretty much that's what's going to end up happening. Me personally, I don't want to see the guy get worn out so soon.
And they have Claypool.
And they do have Chris Claypool. Yes, they do. It just depends on what's going to happen with Pickett and Trubisky. Cleveland, I got last in the division. They're going to have about 7 wins. The rest of the team is good, but we all have seen this time and time before. Other parts, if not most, were good, but at quarterback is so. Depending upon who's quarterback.
You don't think Jacoby Brissett's the savior?
No. It's a foregone conclusion. It's an all conclusion. Deshaun ain't playing this season. I'll bet anybody watching this telecast he ain't gonna play. Then on top of that, Mayfield's gone. So yeah, the biggest question is at quarterback. I got Cleveland sitting at 7 wins. Oh, what's up?
We got Big Eric in the house. He's got something to say.
Why does your face look so fat?
What you saying?
Why, Dom? Why do you do this, man? I'm sitting here on a Saturday. I'm trying to enjoy a great show. Look, I'm always stumbling over my words. And then you got to say something because I want to chime in and make an opinion. It's my opinion. I want Lamar, but you seem to feel like Lamar ain't that good, or you're going to take – and you know what?
You're entitled
all credit to
Burrow.
Sir. All credit to Burrow, okay?
I never
get
saw
what the man has done
75 times.
Hey, do me a favor. I let you talk. Shut up for a minute. Let me explain this to you, bro. All right. Okay. Let me be real with you. Matter of fact, Philly Jim, can I ask a favor? I know you don't do this on the Gauntlet, but I do it on the Sports Rich. Shameless plug. Can you put me and this fake man on the screen together, please, just so I can let him know?
WrestleMania.
I'm telling you. You can do all you want, bro. It ain't even gonna work. Okay, let me explain this to you so you understand what I'm trying to tell you. I have nothing but love for Joe Burrow. But when you look at a man who has overcome so much in all of his years, from being told he was nothing more than a running back, to being told he couldn't win the big game when it counted the most, to being told he couldn't beat Patrick Mahomes, to being told he could not get out of the first round of the playoffs, every single time. I'm dropping my phone right now. Look at this. Lamar has exceeded and gone above and beyond. I respect the hell out of Joe Burrow coming back from that injury and leading his team to a Super Bowl. But you already know the Ravens were not at full strength all last season. If the Ravens were at full strength last season, there is no way Cincinnati would have got where Cincinnati went, which was to the Super Bowl. Okay? If Baltimore is healthy, which I know if was a fifth, you'd be on the sip-off. I get it. But please understand something. When Lamar Jackson is healthy and he has all of his weapons, Baltimore is winning the division. Case point, end of story. Ain't nothing more need to be said about it. Philly Jim, thank you, and I'm out.
Damn.
All right, well, that was interesting. Anyway,
You wanted to go heads up. I didn't even give me a chance
No,
to
I
respond.
don't know how we.
He went head to head and didn't even let us talk, man. That was
Eric straight up just wanted to link so he could yell at
Can I
Dom.
say something real
Game
quick?
set match Wilson. Game set match Wilson, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I mean, I didn't even get a chance to return
With
serve.
all
But
due
okay.
respect,
He said,
with all
if
due
it-
respect to everything Eric said, you can't just like say that, you know, the Ravens would have stopped them from going on a run because the Bengals did what they were supposed to do. The Bengals
Do you want Eric
they
back
beat the
in?
number one seed Titans on the
Right.
road.
Yeah, me
They
and
beat
Jake called
Patrick
that.
Mahomes, Kansas City on the road
Yep.
when they were trailing with double digits. They came back. So Joe Burrow is like that too. I'm not saying Lamar's not like that, but Joe is like that. Joe has always been a guy that you just have to believe in.
I don't disagree. Baltimore
he
would
has
have
a
won
winning mentality.
the division at full health, but like you said, I don't think that stops
And I
Cincy
don't
from
like
doing what
the
they were going
Ravens.
to do.
I don't like the Ravens' weapons.
3/4 of the way through the
Bengals.
season, I was like, Cincy's about to make a run. Me and Jay talked about it. I'm like, Cincy's about to go on this run. None of us thought they were going to get all the way to the Super Bowl. Well, I think a lot of us saw that
No,
run.
none of us thought they were, but they did, which was very impressive. But as JJ said, they got a target on their back now. How are they going to handle it? We said the same thing last year with the Browns, because the Browns.
And that's a good point.
The Browns were a team that all of us picked, except for JJ, on the show, and we saw how that worked out. So, can the Bengals handle it? I think they can, but we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of the Bengals,
Next time on Gauntlet
I think
Ball
everybody
Z.
out of the Ravens and the Steelers run division. It's okay. Do y'all think?
the Steelers do not run this division anymore, but we're going to move on.
I just
on.
want to see them Ohio teams at the top.
We're going to move on. So, speaking of the Bengals, speaking of AFC North, as JJ was alluding to earlier, this is a cause for concern. Jesse Bates is one of the best safeties in the league, and he's a major part of their defense. And if he's not there, it's going to play a major role. They need Jesse Bates. They need to figure something out. Or is Jesse Bates going to get traded? Is there a team out there that could make a move and go get Jesse Bates? What are the Bengals going to ask for? Are they going to ask for a first-round pick for Jesse Bates? We'll have to wait and see. I think this is a problem. If they don't have Jesse Bates and or don't have a plan, if they do get rid of Jesse Bates, that could be an issue, and that could be leaving a big hole in their roster. I mean, they have Eli Apple, who was getting cooked in the Super Bowl.
Dang it, you
Cooper
stole
Kupp.
my line.
And OBJ before he got hurt, by the way.
Why would you even bring up that man's name?
I feel like if they lose Jesse Bates, their secondary is going to be trash. And that could be a major issue. So they need to figure out what they're going to do with this situation, and they need to get Jesse Bates paid, or they need to trade him and get a good player in return.
Dom?
I'm a huge Jesse Bates fan. I'm not surprised that he's holding out. I thought since he would have been smart last year and just given him a multi-year deal, instead they went ahead and franchise tagged him. I can't even say borderline top 5 safety in the NFL. He's a top 5 safety. Like CBS has him at 3. PFF has him at 4. He's 25 years old. He's in the prime of his career. He wants to get paid. If it's not going to be in Cincy, it's somewhere else. As far as who will trade for him, I'm not sure. Like, he's not going to come cheap if Cincy's smart.
Who do you think would be a good fit for him if he got traded?
I mean, the Lions have an extra first-round pick. Just saying. Like, I'm going to go ahead and do what I do and say that
the
I've had.
Lions are the best fit.
I'm not saying the best fit. Like, they'd be a good fit. I've had many a rosteratory fantasies about Jesse Bates. Best fit? I don't know. I'm trying to think about a borderline contender that's weak in the back four. No one really comes to mind. I mean, the Rams seem to be printing money, and they don't care about draft picks.
It's our biggest problem on our team.
Well, what would you be willing to give up?
I would give up a first if we had to. I'm expecting us to be good, so the pick's going to be in the 20s. So I would give up a first rounder.
You could use him. I don't think you need him. I mean, everyone needs
our
Jesse
safeties
Bates.
Are not good. Our safety is the biggest question mark of our team. We don't have a Brian Dawkins or Malcolm Jenkins back there.
Yeah,
make a move.
Given what he brings, will be a good fit in Kansas City.
I would actually respectfully
Jesse Bates beside Eric Reed. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a better one for you guys. So, I think he's arguably the biggest piece on that whole defense. He's like in my eyes, he's the
biggest piece on that defense.
He is. And he helped them in the Super Bowl 100%. But I think Green Bay put him with Jair Alexander. That would be dynamic.
Yes, you did, Grizz. But we forgive you for that.
I think you should pair him with Jair.
We appreciate the viewership interaction.
Thanks, Tom. Anyway, that would be a fun, lethal defense on the back end because then you have two corners / safeties who can guard number one, number two receivers and change every so often. So yeah, Green Bay would be cool.
Good point.
I agree with Will on that front. The only thing that always makes me realize it's not going to work is because they just picked Aaron Rodgers, so he ain't gonna have too much money to give out there anyway.
Yep, and that's why he won't be a Packer.
Right. I wouldn't be sure about that, bro, because money doesn't matter apparently in sports anymore. Even Barcelona, they bought Lewandowski, and they're like $1.3 trillion in debt. So
yeah,
they'll figure out a way, bro, if it comes to that.
I don't know. But Jesse, I thought the whole reason of letting CJ Uzomah go to New York was to use that money to make a play at Jesse Bates because somebody had to get paid. Now, I don't know the specifics of their entire team and their entire contracts, but I'm curious to know if I'm curious to know who's coming up. We know Joe Burrow's coming up. We know Jamar Chase is coming up in but that's like 4 or 5 years.
Higgins.
T. Higgins. But what
I'm forgetting my Clemson boy now.
What I'm curious to know is Joe
Jay
Mixon coming up.
Jay.
And they're gonna pay Joe Mixon, bro.
Today, but when how this team
Joe Mixon is the best running back in the NFL that no one talks about.
When you look at what this team did and how they really secured wins, the kill shot came from Mixon. Mixon was the one. Jamar Chase got all the explosion, get all the plays, get everything like that. But when that time came to run the football and secure the win, Mixon came through as their kill shot. And I take it from personal experience, seeing it not once but twice.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it this way. So I just pulled up the
running backs a big salary though.
I just pulled up the contracts for safety.
Destroy the team.
But honestly, I don't think it's they have. I think it's not necessarily saying paying Mixon all the bag, but it's like who can we pay to make sure we keep Jamar and Joe down the line? Whose contract in the next year or 2 years is more important for us to still help us win, but also make sure we have enough money to retain those two because they're going to set the market for each of their respective positions if their trajectory is as good as it looks it is right now. So it's just curious to know. I don't know. I really think they need to keep him because I wanted him if they were going to let him go. But at the same time,
it's going to cost you upwards of $15 million per year. Like Minka makes 18.2. Jamal Adams, he's trash, but he makes 17.5. Harrison Smith, 16. Justin
he's probably gonna want as much as Minka's making. Whoever's the highest paid safety, he's probably gonna want
Minka.
He's probably gonna want like 20
plus a lot of guaranteed money. But Jay hasn't got a chance to talk yet because a bunch of us have a bunch of big mouths and we never stop talking. So we're gonna give Jay opportunity to share his thoughts. So what's your thoughts on Jesse Bates and the Bengals situation?
Man, he is nearing. I mean, definitely my favorite person on that defense. Definitely, to me, he's the captain of that defense. And call me crazy, but I think the Bengals are going to be foolish enough to let him go. Reason being is because they're going to look at that Super Bowl run, and they're not going to say we made it because of Bates.
Yeah.
They're going to say we made it because of Burrow. We made it because of Mixon. We made it because of Jamar Chase. So my view aligns a lot along with JJ's. I think they're going to be foolish enough. Now, do they still win a division? Yeah, they got a shot. You know, it's just that I don't.
Without Bates, I don't know.
Chance of repeating in the AFC.
I might change my mind
because they need. I mean, they need.
Think about what you
if
said.
they pick somebody up, well, then again, they can't pick nobody up off the street that's even as good.
But
yeah, this right here is gonna hurt. If they're foolish enough to let him go, and we know how the front office can make some stupid decisions, if they're foolish enough to let him go, you know, it's gonna be a huge blow. And now that they've had that taste of that Super Bowl, and we beat.
They got to figure this out, man.
You know what I mean? It's like, they're gonna get that cocky mind frame, and it's like, well, you know what? Yeah, you're a defensive back, but you're a dime a dozen. That's how they're gonna see it.
Can I say
and
something
I
real quick?
see him, and I see him
sorry,
go to another team. Go ahead.
Will, what were you gonna say?
I'm sorry, Jay. I didn't know you were done. My bad, man.
I don't know. I'm done. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, if they do not re-sign him, if they win the division, I'm calling it right now. They're losing in the second round of the playoffs.
What if they just give him the franchise?
AFC's loaded though, so I don't even know who I would pick to make it to the Super Bowl from the AFC.
What if they just franchise him again?
Jay's point though,
he's not going to play on the franchise tag. He's already said it.
Oh, he said that.
The whole season, the offense got the shine, but they were top 10 in sacks and turnovers forced. But the whole offense was getting all the shine.
Exactly.
And Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, the middle linebacker, they all had great years. And Jesse is a huge part of what that secondary solidified.
Yeah.
As outside they have Von Bell. Their corners are good, but their safeties is what makes that defense and them corners better because they're always where they need to be to help and when they need to be helped. And so it's going to be interesting. I think
definitely going to be interesting. But we got to wrap this up and go to our last topic with the NFL before we get into non-sports stuff. So this is another holdout that's happening in Kansas City with left tackle Orlando Brown Jr. They were unable to agree on a new deal. The Chiefs and he had a deadline that they were supposed to reach. They were not able to reach it. The Chiefs offered him around $24 million a year, and there was a lot of guaranteed money for the first 2 years. But the issue was after the first 2 years, I think it was a 4-year deal that they offered him. The guaranteed money was not as much later in the contract, which is what he had an issue with. So that is why he decided that he was not going to take the offer. So they just traded with the Ravens to get him last year. So are they going to, trade him, which I don't think they would do because, that's your starting left tackle. You got to protect Patrick Mahomes at all costs. But this is an investment that you have to make. You traded for him. I think you should pay him what he wants to be paid because he's a really good player. And are you really going to get an opportunity to get another player that's as good as he is as a left tackle? I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. Also, if you let him hit the market, if you don't want to give him the guaranteed money, there's a lot of teams that could use the left tackle that I think would give Orlando Brown Jr. a pretty big salary. So it's an interesting thing to look out for. If I was the Chiefs, I would try to get this deal done as soon as possible.
Now, interesting enough, because I really want to take this over. Imagine that contract dispute with the Ravens trying to figure out Lamar Jackson's contract.
That would have been a disaster. You guys already had Ronnie Stanley, so you're good.
No, not even that. But the Ravens knew this was going to be their problem all along. That's why we were so willing to trade him.
To part with him, yeah.
And
that's what the Ravens do.
That was a good problem.
The Ravens,
Rick Wagner.
And look what happened. The Ravens let him go, and the Ravens' offensive line got better with Morgan, Zeitler, and a couple other people. We all knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. I said, it's not Ravens. It's not our problem. It's your problem. Orlando wants that money. Orlando is going to do, and they should have known coming. So at the end of the day, with Tyreek going out, Orlando's going to hold out because he honestly feels like he wants what Ronnie Stanley got.
I'll go real quick. Or go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
I
I couldn't agree more. He is your vital O-line piece. He is the leader of the O-line. You have to protect Patrick Mahomes at all costs if you want to make another Super Bowl and win another Super Bowl. So, yeah, just pay the dude. Go ahead, Dom.
I mean, he's a top 10-ish, maybe higher. I mean, he's in that range of top 10 tackles in the NFL. He's only 26 years old. He's made the Pro Bowl 3 times in his 4 years in the league. And James had said something about 24 million. I don't know what range that was as far as the highest paid left tackles, but if you want to
higher, it's as high as what the 49ers paid Trent Williams.
Oh, and he got the most?
Good salary.
I mean, if you've got a top 10 left tackle that's that young, you're going to have to pay him or you're going to lose him. Like, it's up to you, Kansas City Chiefs. And like our commenter just said, if you want to see him get sacked 383,884 times, then by all means, do it. I'd love to see Kansas City finish in 4th.
I mean, he's entering his 5th year in the league, and 3 of those years he made the Pro Bowl. Do I think he's deserving of the money? Absolutely. He is the best O-lineman that they got. So, yes, you give him the royal treatment. You roll out the Kansas City red carpet, and you pay that man unless you want Patrick Mahomes to pull a Super Bowl against Tampa Bay and run for his life. This time, every game instead of for one game.
And you have how much money invested? You have how much money invested in Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, shoot. That's
and
what.
By the way, I just checked the salaries. So if he accepted the offer, he would be the highest paid annually of all the left tackles. Trent Williams, $23 million.
I would probably pay my left tackle protecting a perennial MVP and Super Bowl winning quarterback who's also the high paid. You can't skimp.
Quarterback is the most important position. Left tackle is the second most.
Exactly. You can't skimp on that unless you've got a guy.
If you don't believe me, watch The Blind Side.
Facts.
You know, I think it's interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, because that as good as he has been and stuff like that, they had legitimate issues with him throughout the season because he wasn't bringing the expectation that did. He figured it out. But to be honest with you, Orlando Brown, the way you get the best out of him, the reason why he struggled with them, is something that doesn't fit what Kansas City likes to do. He was 2 of his 3 Pro Bowl
Not a scheme fit.
2 of the team 3 Pro Bowl years with a run-first offense where your run fueled the pass. And what does Andy Reid not like to do? Run the football. So it started to see Orlando Brown struggle. When they start, if they decide to commit to the run, you will get the best out of Orlando Brown. And I think Kansas City kind of realized that last year. And as much as we get on him, Creed Humphrey was one of the top 5 rookie centers in the game, and he's a vital piece of that offensive line as well. So maybe Kansas City's looking at like, you know what? One of the things I will say is as much as important as left tackle is and anything on the offensive line, it's also the one position that you can develop the one person into being the best without taking the most highest risk. You know, you can have a great development coach and a great offensive scheme and a great offensive line coach, so to speak, to bring the best of the players. So somebody that may not look at Brown's a 3rd-round pick. He wasn't a 1st-round pick, and we got rid of Rick Wagner shortly. Maybe
don't talk about Rick Wagner. Yeah. Fuck you for bringing up Rick Wagner.
I get it, Dom. I get it. Y'all got him, and it was not.
Yeah,
good.
We got
mute him.
You sold us a bill of goods.
But I'm just saying, like, just one of those things that's curious because I know they want that money, but at the same time, somebody's contract is going to be a jeopardy in the future that I think they're not trying to risk when it comes to doing Orlando Brown. Or maybe Orlando wants more.
I hear you guys. Well, we got to wrap it up there. So these 2 situations with Jesse Bates and Orlando Brown is something we're going to be interested to see how it plays out for the rest of the season. But now with our sports topic, we're going to play a game. It's going to be called This or That. It's where you're going to have 2 choices of 2 different things. I have different categories. I have like TV shows, movies, music, food, all that kind of stuff. So first one, I'm going to do This or That, Tupac or Biggie. Which rapper are you going with?
Pac.
I'm going Pac. Bigger catalog.
I I ain't listening.
He doesn't listen to rap, so I'm going to be the only person to take Biggie. And the reason I'm taking Biggie is because, not to say that Tupac was overrated or anything, but his impact on the culture was obviously there. But in terms of a rapper, Biggie can wrap circles around Pac all day long. So that's the reason I'm going with him. But I feel where you guys are coming from, though. I'm not gonna disrespect.
If all things being equal, if Pac didn't have a way bigger catalog, I would probably take Biggie. Like if you say best 50 songs, I'd probably take Biggie.
I was about to say the same thing. East Coasters tend to lean towards Pac. If you're from like Philly, New York, DC, Boston, they probably lean more towards Biggie. Yeah,
I got you. But next one,
Pac wasn't West Coast till he moved there.
Lion King or Jungle Book? This or that?
Lion King.
Easily.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay, that was an easy one. All right. Let's see. Okay, pizza or Mexican?
Mexican.
Pizza.
I'm going with the Mexican on this one.
Mexican, more variety.
Yeah. Well,
you can get a Mexican pizza. So you can have
that is trash. Trash.
And Kara says Mexican pizza's the worst.
I
actually had a Mexican pizza, but
shout out to you, Kara.
I've never tried it.
It's different though. Like if you make a Mexican pizza at home,
I'm not gonna hate on it until I try it.
Pizza.
But you have tacos, quesadillas, burritos, everything. So I'll see if I can give that up.
Can you say Mexican pizza forever unclean for me?
What?
From the league, but like instead of Baby Jeffrey.
Mexican pizza forever unclean.
If you have Mafia K-Fu on Facebook, go look up his post when he had a run-in with a Mexican pizza.
Yes.
Too much information, bro. But what else do we got? How about Blindside or Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans.
Don't you disrespect Coach Boone ever like that again? As much as I love
why? But the Blindside was a feel-good story.
Blindside was very good. Remember the Titans is legendary.
Blindside was I'm not saying it's better. But it's good.
They lied. Michael Orr said he did not know how to read at the 7th grade. He knew how to read up until like first grade. If they just did that for Hollywood, but I'm just playing. But on top of that, remember the Titans.
It's still a good movie.
When Wood Harris was sitting there talking to Gary Bertier, he said, "Attitude reflects leadership." That stuck with me as a kid.
Yes.
That stuck with me as a kid.
Yes. It did. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I love that movie. And
I
do have to say.
Okay. What about?
Why am I drawing a blank? Jay, you will know. What was Wood Harris's name in
I do have to
The
say
Wire?
one more thing about Remember the Titans is I remember that one scene between Coach Boone and Coach Yost when just after they threw the brick into his house, and Coach Yost was getting upset, and Denzel said, "Well, welcome to my daughter's life. Look what she dealt with in her life," and that was like, yo.
My favorite scene from Remember the Titans was when the one player was like, "Oh, Coach, we need a water break," and then Coach Boone was like, "You don't get blood on my uniform. Water is for washing blood off my uniform. You don't get no blood on my uniform."
Exactly.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite.
Barksdale. From Avon Barksdale to what was his name in that movie? Even
Denzel is the GOAT.
I think we have room for two more.
Naruto or Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball.
Easy.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Dragon Ball Z.
Whoa.
The creator of Naruto got all his ideas from Dragon Ball Z, bro. He even said it himself. So it's not
Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball strictly based upon when Mr. Satan got scared and his neck got real skinny and his eyes were pinpoint. Hercule. That was my
funniest part was that he made all the people thought he was the one that killed Cell.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like the local hero with the sideburns and that crusty Jew fro.
Even like someone like Krillin could beat some of the strongest characters on Naruto, but that's besides the point.
Will has a this or that.
What's your this or that, Will? We'll do one more.
N64 or Sega Genesis?
Nintendo 64.
N64.
64.
I put Sega Genesis at the bottom. I don't really care about that system.
Dom, what
I'm
about
going,
you?
I'm going,
Give
I'm
your
going
answer.
Genesis.
Never mind, Dreamcast at the bottom.
Ooh, you're going
Genesis. N64 had too many buttons.
It had better games though, bro.
Bro, it was a
Mario
huge
Kart.
What are you
leap.
playing on Sega? What are you playing on Sega besides like Sonic or something?
Bro,
No,
I had
the
never played
Dolphin
Sonic.
game, the
It was a
Dolphin
huge
game.
leap of faith
Echo
for me
the
to go from
Dolphin.
2 buttons
Nintendo
on
64
the
has Super
Joe
Mario,
Montana
they have
football.
Zelda, they have Mario Kart, they have Donkey Kong.
Super
But
Smash
you're gonna
Brothers.
you're gonna sit here and tell me something about Dolphin, really?
Ooh,
No, the
okay,
Dolphin game was
N64,
fun.
because
Get out,
GoldenEye.
get out of my face. Super Smash Brothers, get out of my face.
And 64 had
Gold,
Don't
because
good
Gold,
games.
GoldenEye and
Don't disrespect the
GoldenEye and
OG.
Mario Kart. N64, you got it.
64 Mario Kart is the best Mario Kart of all time.
Remember those
Yes.
3 months that Dreamcast
was.
was the shit?
True.
Say what?
Remember those 3 months that Dreamcast was the shit?
Yes. I had one.
I didn't like Dreamcast. I'm sorry.
That was the only system I ever played the
PlayStation 2 was goated,
NBA
though,
2K games on because they
PlayStation
didn't have
2,
live.
64 are the two systems it's goated, but that is pretty much it.
I live and die by PlayStation 2. That is my system.
I still got
PlayStation
my
2 is the
that was-
goated.
that is
PS2 is the
Yeah.
goat.
PS2's GOAT.
The kid, before us in the show, I want to just say this for the PS2. This also applies for Nintendo GameCube. For all the kids watching, you guys don't understand that you have it so good because back in the days when I was growing up, we would have to leave the PS2 on for like weeks of a time because we don't have a memory card. But now you guys have like hard drives and internal storage and
We
all
had
this.
one, and it was full.
And when I used to play GTA, I used to get in trouble because I went to the computer lab and I printed out all the cheat codes. But it was worth
You know what we did on, you know what we did on GTA to not have to leave it on?
Hold on.
We just had 10 of us that played around the clock when I was in college. We beat that game in like a week and a half. Yo.
Hold on. I'm gonna show y'all something, and everybody watching this right here. If you had a PlayStation 2 and you was an NBA fan and you didn't play this here,
I didn't
Rick
like that
NBA
game.
Street, bro. I didn't play that game. I
didn't
was
like
more
that
into like
game. I'm
GTA and stuff.
sorry.
dude.
No, Jay. My brother loved
think
that
we got
game.
in.
Don't get me wrong. He used to play that all the time.
We'll be fine, bro. We're only like 3 minutes over.
And I will say, underrated game on PlayStation 2 was GoldenEye.
Sorry, Sideline
James.
Sports, for running over our allotted time.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai. But anyway, guys, we appreciate everybody that was in here. Will, make sure you guys check out Basketball Bros. I think it's live tomorrow at 8 o'clock, talking about basketball history. And we will see you guys on the next episode, all right? So we will be covering a lot of good NFL stuff, man. So, guys, peace.